Hello and welcome to Meet Your Inspiration podcast with Mary and Rich. Here we're talking about inspiration, motivation and empowerment. Our guests are ordinary people who became extraordinary, and with sharing their stories, we want to empower you to become the person you want to be and to go beyond your dreams.
This morning we have two guests. We don't normally have two guests, but this morning we do. We're very pleased to welcome Julie and Noreen to us, and they're going to tell us their story. They work together within two different businesses, and they're going to share their story with us this morning. But welcome, ladies. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you for having us.
So,
where shall we start? Here we're going to talk a lot about businesses, determination, resilience, and success. And if you don't mind, we're going to start with Noreen because she's closer to me sitting. How your journey started, and give us a little bit back. Take us a bit back after you finished school. What was your idea to go in the big world? What to do? How to start your career?
Okay. So, oh my gosh, school was a long time ago for me. When I was at school, I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do, but I did enjoy cooking. So I thought, hey, I'll go to catering college and pursue a career within catering. It wasn't for me. I worked in a few roles in London in a catering capacity. For example, BP Oil and ITN, lots of temporary contracts. I didn't really enjoy it. I think for me, my career started when I was 22. At 22, I had an opportunity to work at Hertz UK. So Hertz is the big worldwide car rental company. They had their head office in London. I grew up in London and I started my career in their reservation call centre. So it was a great opportunity to develop my skills in sales, in communication, and being part of a large organisation, that team environment. I really enjoyed my time there, and I progressed from reservation sales agent, booking car rental worldwide, through to team leader, through to help desk, and then I was given the opportunity by the operations director to go over to Ireland with another member of the team to help set up an international call centre. So it was a fantastic opportunity at a young age, and I worked over there on secondment for about 3-4 months, stayed in a lovely apartment overlooking the marina in Malahide, and it was this amazing opportunity. And at that point, I got involved in recruiting new members of staff for their international call centre. And that was the first time I was exposed to recruitment. And I really enjoyed it. The whole interviewing candidates, trying to find that right match for the business, having those conversations around career and what they're looking for. And obviously at this point, this was an internal recruitment role, so looking for individuals for that business. So I was there helping support in setting up the call centre, recruiting the new members of staff. Really enjoyed that. And then when the secondment period came up for renewal, I had the option to relocate to Ireland or go back to the UK. At that time, though, I took the opportunity to go back to the UK. And I sometimes think, why did I do that? Maybe I should have stayed.
I always got this thought.
And what could a life have offered me over there? I don't know.
was that in Dublin, or was that on the outskirts of Dublin?
It was Malahide on the outskirts of Dublin. So at the time, though, for personal reasons, I decided to return to the UK. And my job in London was being made redundant because they were moving over to Ireland. So immediately I thought, hey, I know what I want to do. I want to pursue a career in recruitment. So for me, it was the natural progression. I really enjoyed the taste of recruitment and I wanted to explore an agency recruitment role. So I applied for different roles. I got offered a few jobs and I took a role at an independent recruitment agency called Excalibur Personnel. So we used to answer the phone, Excalibur Personnel, and it was in Croydon. And in Croydon at the time, it was such a busy, condensed area for recruitment agencies. I think at the time it was the most competitive area within recruitment for the whole of the UK. So there were multiple agencies covering a small geography and extremely competitive.
Was there a lot of businesses around that area as well?
Absolutely, yeah. And we didn't just look after Croydon, it was the surrounding areas as well, but a very, very competitive market. But I really enjoyed it. So I learnt within a small independent recruitment agency, and after a year of being there, the business was taken over by a large corporate. So I had the exposure of working for a small independent and then a large corporate, which again, really enjoyed, learned a lot of new skills, progressed within my career. So started as a permanence consultant, looking after permanent recruitment, then progressed to a perm sector manager, then was offered the role of branch manager of their Sutton location. So I took that opportunity, really enjoyed recruitment, as I say, and it gave me insight into not just the recruitment elements, i.e. the matching and sourcing of candidates, but also in terms of sales. Recruitment agency work is very sales-based. There is that idea that you have to go out there, secure new business. It's very competitive, but I loved it. It's very fast-paced, great energy. And ultimately, you're making a difference in people's lives as well. But you're finding them a career that is so important, and I really enjoyed that element, and I still do today. So I progressed within the role, as I say, moved over to a branch manager in Sutton. Really enjoyed that. When it was an independent agency for the first year, it was very much kind of thrown into the role, so not a lot of training. And I remember vividly, actually, the owner of the business, and again, this shows how long ago this was, giving me the newspaper and the yellow pages and say, there you go, and it was like,
go and find some companies.
Find some business, yeah. But when we were taken over by the large corporate, there was very, very structured training, which was fantastic to, have that strong foundation. So I worked there for a number of years. So I then decided to leave because I was offered a job as a branch manager for a location for the Deco Group. This was an opportunity in a new branch in the Leatherhead area. So it was an exciting proposition, setting up this new branch, and I was very attracted to the organisation at the time, and I thought it would be a good career move for me. So I took that role. I then decided to move and relocate. So I was based in London and then relocated to Faversham in Kent.
Oh, okay.
So the reason I chose Faversham is at the time of working at Blue Arrow, I made a really good connection and friendship with another lady called Kelly. And she bought a house in Faversham. She bought her first house in Faversham. And I thought, hey, fresh start, let's move to Faversham. So I moved, bought my first house in Faversham. I think I must have been about 31, 32 at that point, and did it all on my own as she did. And at the time, when we worked in London, we always had conversations about, hey, wouldn't it be good to set up our own business one day? And when I was based in Faversham, I was still working in my job in London. And we decided, life's too short. Let's just take the opportunity and set up a business. So she left her role, I left my role, and we set up a company. So this company, we initially started in her spare bedroom. So at least I could get dressed up and go to work. She would get up and walk across the land into another bedroom. Gosh, which was her office. Yeah. So we set the business up, and initially, dare I say, we didn't have any idea about setting up a business. So, the typical day was we'd have some coffee and then we'd make a few sales calls. Then we might watch a little bit of Trisha on TV, which is a daytime show. I mean, clearly we didn't. Then we'd go for lunch at Haversham's in Faversham. Then we'd go back and make a few more calls. And then we would go shopping in Bluewater. And then we did this for a little while.
Sounds like a great business. Well, good fun.
Funny.
Yeah. And then we suddenly realised that, well, not suddenly realised, but the reality did hit that we were now paying our mortgages on our credit cards. And what are we doing? We need to take this seriously. Yeah. So with that, we knew we needed office space. We couldn't carry on, working from a spare room. We needed to have that real business focus. So we found an office location in Faversham. As a business landlord, and he had some office space that he could rent out to us. So that was really the start of that business. And we were based in Faversham and then subsequently moved to Sittingbourne some years later. We had that business for around 5 years. And it was a successful business. We turned over, I think it's about 1.5 million.
Wow, it's good.
In our peak. We offered temporary and permanent recruitment solutions. Unfortunately, the business did fold. So we had the business for 5 years, and then the recession hit. 2017, went through a really hard period. At that point, I'd met my husband, had a child, was pregnant with my second child. The business is going through a difficult time. So we closed the business. I took some time out with my husband, my family, had my second child. And then going back to that business, when I had my first son, I went back to work very quickly, when I had that company. So when I was pregnant with my second child and that business closed, I decided, okay, let's take some time out. So I had about a year and a half off with my children and my husband. But in the end, I was going a bit stir crazy because I am a career woman at heart. And, as much as I adore my children, I think for me, it makes me a better mother having a career as well. And the time I have with my children is very precious, but it's quality. And I adore my children, clearly. So for me, I needed to go back to work. My husband had his own business as well. And I decided to look at new opportunities. I was offered a role at Manpower Recruitment, and it was a turnaround branch. So they had a branch in Tunbridge Wells that was experiencing problems. So I took that opportunity to go into that branch and support them with new business development and managing the team, etc. Initially, I was going to work there for a year, and I said, look, I'll do this for a year. I think I ended up staying around a year and a half or so. But I knew it was always, for me, was going to be a short-term project to support that business. And, it was a good opportunity at that time. So the next step for me, gosh, it sounds like, I've done a lot, but, I'm always
But that's great because, you start early and you're
absolutely.
always developing and going.
Yeah,
okay.
So then the next role I took was at a company called Reed, which you would know of. And they were looking for a business manager for their branch in Ashford. So that was a good opportunity for me at the time. So at that point, they had different business sectors. So accountancy, specialist, marketing and creative, so teams within those sectors. So I took over that branch. I was there for a few years. Again, I'd need to look at my LinkedIn profile to remember how many years. I want to say 4 or 5 years. And again, that was, a really good opportunity. I met the lovely Julie within that company. So I recruited Julie into marketing and creative. And so that was a good experience working there as well. After that, I was offered a role in another company where they wanted me to go in as head of commercial and subsequently interim sales director. So I went to work for them for a period of time. I think, again, I'd need to check my LinkedIn. I was there probably a year and a half or... I need to look at my LinkedIn profile. Oh my gosh. So everybody, you can look at my profile. I'm very transparent. Oh my gosh. So then this is where things got really difficult for me. So one day I was at the office and I was at lunch, came back to the office and the police were in the office. And, someone called me to one side and said, the police are here for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I went into a private office with them and had a colleague with me and they said, sit down and then they said to me, I'm really sorry to tell you, your husband's lost his life in a car crash.
Oh my gosh, awful.
Sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's just sent shivers down my spine. Yeah. So obviously complete devastation. I had 2 small children at this time. They were 7 and 10, nearly 8 and 11. So my whole world, just fell apart. And I remember, the plan. All I could think about is how am I going to tell my children?
Of course.
And this was just literally so devastating, and because it was a sudden death as well, it's the shock of one day they're there and the next day they're gone. Your whole world changes. And then telling my children, Daddy's been in a car crash and he's gone to heaven. I couldn't even say the words.
That's very hard to do that.
Yeah, and it was just devastating. I'm surprised I can talk about this now, but for a long time I would literally break down if I spoke about this.
Which we can say well done.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Because I had it the other way around when I was young. We were on holiday, and my mum she lost her life when I was just 11 years old. So we were literally on a summer holiday. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I can relate to it exactly the other way around. And I remember, my mum went, they said, oh, she's gone away in the ambulance. And the next morning when we got picked up, I had an auntie. So we were down in Cornwall and I had an auntie who lived in Devon. So we got in the car and we went to Devon, to my auntie's house. And when we got there, all my cousins were there, my auntie and uncle were there. And I was thinking, oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy they're all here. I got there and I was really excited because I thought, it's so good that you're all down here. Mum's gone into hospital, but hopefully, so at this point, so basically for at least 12 hours after she died, I didn't know. And then I sat down and we sat down on the sofa, with me and my sister. And we sat down there and we were just like, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, when Mum went to hospital, but unfortunately she died. And like, you know, of course, so the other way, so, you know, and I can, yeah, I really relate to it, Noreen. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And that's, you know, and it's so sudden and you just don't know what to do with it.
And they were the same sort of age, so 7 and 10, nearly 8 and 11.
Yeah.
And I just remember them crying, and it was just devastating.
How did you go through all this?
Sorry?
How did you go through all this?
How did I go through this more? So obviously you go through that grieving process. I'm supporting my children. And unfortunately, my late husband did not leave me in a good financial position. So quite frankly, I had to start again from nothing, having lost my husband, you know, with that grief and supporting 2 small children. So it was a really, really hard time for me, really difficult. But I knew I had to work, and I knew for me, you know, I've been very successful in my recruitment career. It's what I do, it's what I'm good at. But for me, the best opportunity for me was to set up another company so that I could have that work-life balance for my boys, but I could still earn some money. So obviously I could go and work for someone else, but I wouldn't be able to when the priority had to be my sons, and I had to be there to look after them.
Because it's very important to time manage, because you need to be able to manage it exactly how you want it to do.
Yeah.
I mean, not nobody, but it's much more difficult.
So they were a very, very vulnerable, difficult position, and they had to be the priority. So this is when I set up Diamond Search Recruitment, my current business. So in very difficult circumstances, with no money, 2 small children and grieving and everything else. So I'm very passionate in what I do. I'm very good at what I do in recruitment. So for me, it was the ideal situation in terms of the business. It was a very slow start because the priority had to be the children, but I had to make money to pay the bills. So I set it up very professionally as a limited company. So for those of you looking to set up a business, you know, when in recruitment and with my experience in recruitment, for me, it was important. We were a limited company. We were VAT registered from day one for that credibility in business within my industry. I wanted us to be part of the REC, which is the Recruitment and Employment Confederation.
Which you'd have to pay membership for that.
Yeah, so we're an REC corporate member. Everything we do is very, very professional. There's certain systems and processes that I had to put in place. And initially it was just me working. So obviously I couldn't afford to hire anyone else. So I worked very, very part-time. You know,
and I assume that was work from home.
Work from home
because
initially.
This give you the opportunity.
It is. So work from home initially, and then I looked into getting like a co-working desk. My business is now based still within the Regis Managed Service building, where we have an office. But at the time, I had a co-working desk. So I had that in a community area. Within the Regis building, and there's so many of these co-working opportunities available now. It's very, very popular,
it is.
Especially since COVID. So I had, after setting up initially from home, I then took a co-working desk opportunity to be able to be in that business commercial type environment, which for me, I found better. I personally work better in a commercial environment as opposed to working from home. But I could do that then, so when the children were at school, I could go to work, feel that I'm in that work zone, and for me that works better, but still have the flexibility around school run and looking after the boys, etc. So that's how I worked for a while. I built the business, brought on new clients, etc. But the business has grown very slowly. I set up the company in 2017. So we're now 2024. We're not turning over millions, but we're a good, stable business. Now we have a great reputation. We're incredible at what we do. We get a lot of referrals, repeat business, recommendations. I'm surrounded by an incredible team, including the lovely Julie. So Julie, who you recall I met at Reed. And Julie, I know she'll share her story in a moment, but she went full circle and then came to work with me at Diamond Search, which is amazing. And my team, they benefit from the work-life balance as well, So it's all about having that work-life balance as working mothers as well. And I think what we've got is very, very special. And we do, as I say, we do an incredible job. We look after our customers, and we're all so very passionate about helping individuals and helping them find their career choice. So as a business, I'm still very, very hands-on, but I still have that same sense of satisfaction in terms of, being able to support a customer, the client, in finding their ideal candidate, the candidate in finding their ideal role. So I'm very much that kind of business leader who, it's an owner-managed business. I'm very involved.
Of course.
I
It's
Yeah.
really important to me.
Experience 10 years ago when I was looking for a job, because for me, recruitment is important. Recruiter, if you work, it's very important. Nowadays, as you said, it's full of agencies, people,
Yeah.
etc. But being on the other side and looking for job, honestly, I find it really bad, I would say, when you send your CVs and you don't have any feedback, just like, thank you for your email, and that's it.
Absolutely.
I do get lots of companies, probably you know better, ladies, that probably you're bombarded by lots of emails. But sometimes it's good when you find the time or you start to feedback the people what is missing, or thank you very much, but we're not. I was waiting for weeks for replies and etc. Suddenly, I will never forget this lady. She changed my life, obviously, with giving me the opportunity. She sent me the email. She invited me for an interview. Amazing recruiter who sat with me. I went there for an interview. Interview went really well. After that, obviously, I managed to get to the company where I'm working still up to today. I had this interview, but she was checking on me after that. She was calling me. She came in the office a few times to check how the things are going. And we became, I wouldn't say friends, but we had a really good relation. Later in the time, I did recommend her to numerous people who are looking for, because for me, obviously, the role that she played was very important, because I had other people who you can feel on the phone that they don't care that much. They just want to do the sale, or they just want to place you somewhere. It doesn't matter. And during the years as well, I experienced working with some agencies, and you can notice the ones who really care about the people and the ones who are there just to sell it. And probably they do the millions for the time being, but I don't think they will be very successful on the long term, because I can't see that people will go back or businesses will go back. So what you're doing, I think it's much more important to get that personal touch, and the services we
get so many testimonials because we do an incredible job, both from the candidate and the client side. And I went to see one of my new customers yesterday in Canterbury, where I placed 2 candidates. It was life-changing for different personal reasons. And the candidates and the client are just over the moon, and they're so happy. And obviously the aftercare, as you say, is incredibly important as well. So we do an incredible job. But now my sons are nearly 19 and nearly 16. So obviously going back for their journey. So now that they're older, it means that I can really, really focus on the business. So for Diamond Search Recruitment for next year, I want it to be an incredible year for our business, for us to really be able to focus on growing the business, gaining new customers. As I say, we do that all the time, but in the financials as well. I want to see the financials really growing. As I say, the business is growing slowly because of my personal circumstances and the focus having to be the children. But what we do, it's incredible. It's great quality. So now we're looking at that step up over the next year.
Do you all work independent? Although you're working as a team, but you all have your own clients, I guess, and look after each individual area. So
we have everyone has like account managing different customers, and each of our team have different skills, etc. So it is all about that close account management, but we also do work very closely together. But that's how.
Julie, tell us about your story. How did you come to after that? No, I'm pretty sure every story matters here, and every story give you insights.
Where should start from?
Probably back at school.
Secondary school, college, whatever.
So finished school. I then went to college because I was very unsure as to what I wanted to do career-wise. I knew that I have always deep down known I want to be my own boss. I'd run my own business, but I never really knew what. And I just didn't really have an idea leaving school where I should go, what I wanted to do. So I kind of naturally fell into the finished school, going to college. I did product design there. And then again, finishing the diploma in product design, I thought, where do I go from here? And the natural course that you're kind of told to do when you're at school and college is go to university. So I went to university and I studied architecture, which was great. But there was still something missing from that. So whilst I was at university, I also started working for a company part-time, Holiday Extras, which is a travel add-ons company. And they're very, very successful. I started off in the contact centre there. And then, even though I was only part-time, slowly made myself climb the ladder, if you like, and ended up becoming a partnership development manager. And even after university, I still carried on full-time working for them as a partnership development manager. I was probably around 25, 26 years old. I think I was about 25, 26. I was in a really fortunate position for being so young and being given the opportunity to travel a lot. I was able to travel a lot of countries in Europe, going to various travel conferences, various travel events, representing the company and business developing. Wow. So it doesn't really sound super glamorous. The conferences, we'd have to go and visit companies such as EasyJet or LastMinute.com, all the big players within the travel industry, and they would hold conferences abroad in the most beautiful hotels because obviously they want to showcase the travel industry. So I was really lucky to do that, but it got to a point where I felt at the time I was living out the suitcase, and it was very, very exhausting. I was in a relationship at the time that I didn't particularly want to be in, and there were just lots of things happening, and I thought, I need to start exploring new things. Towards the end of my time at Holiday Extras as a partnership development manager, I had ended my then relationship. And just as people do sometimes, I met my husband at work at Holiday Extras. Now, I have a bit of a silly rule where I don't like to, dare I say it, mix business and pleasure. So I thought this is all kind of aligning. I'm going to try something different. And again, I still didn't really know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. So I ended up just uploading, as one does, a CV on the CV platforms. And within a week of uploading my CV, I get a phone call from the lovely Noreen offering me an opportunity to start as a junior recruitment consultant. So I followed through on that and was fortunate enough to get the job. And at Reed, Noreen trained me, and that's where we met. Okay. And so I was at Reed for about 2.5, 3 years. Noreen trained me within recruitment, and I fell in love with it straight away because, like Noreen touched on the fact that you're changing people's lives, and that I'm a people person. That is something I've always known about myself, and I really enjoy giving people good news. And it's great matching, the person to the perfect job and the client to the perfect candidate to fill that position. It's very satisfying. And after I've been in recruitment 12 years, coming on to 13 years now, and I still get that same job satisfaction. I still have that passion for it.
And that's when you know you're in the right role, isn't it?
Exactly.
We still have that. So
I laugh and I do say to people, I never woke up one day saying, hey, I want to be a recruitment consultant.
Just happened.
It just happened. And I'm a big believer of things happen for a reason. I wanted to leave the company that I was at previously at Holiday Extras because I'd met my husband and I couldn't possibly live with someone and work with them. It's too much. I need my time. And so if it wasn't for Noreen calling me and offering me that opportunity, I wouldn't have even considered recruitment. Yet here I am 12 years later, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So I worked at Reed, which is a big high street recruiter, for a number of years. And then Noreen moved on. And then about a year or so after, I moved on and I went to work for a independent agency. So complete contrast. They work very differently, and there's more put on you. You have to do a lot more business development, but a lot more sales because they don't have teams of people doing that for them. And I still enjoyed it, and it was still great.
You learn different things.
Absolutely. Growing my skills, further bettering myself. And then So I was there for a number of years, and then COVID hit. So I'm moving on here now. And at the beginning of COVID, in 2020, beginning of 2020, I was pregnant with my son. So I was put on furlough. The world was crazy. Everybody remembers COVID. And I was still working for the... Noreen had set up Diamond Search Recruitment, and we'd always stayed in touch. I mean, Noreen came to my wedding, and she kept saying, "Oh, you know, Julie, I'd love for you to come and join me." And
Of course.
Absolutely.
Never give up. It's a miss to ask.
I always feel, and I still do, I have such good energy when I'm around her. She is a true mentor.
Which is very important,
Which,
isn't it?
yeah, honestly, you truly are.
We think pennies.
And so I spoke to my husband at the time, and I said, "Hey, you know, I'm actually thinking of doing this, although I know I'm pregnant and I've got to go through maternity and such." So I had my son in COVID, and it was all a very, very crazy time. And then as we were kind of coming out of COVID, I thought, right, now's the time. I'm going to hand my notice in. I'm going to start with Noreen. You know, every new opportunity I do like to take. So I joined Diamond Search Recruitment, and it's been fabulous. Then I went through, dare I say, a rather tricky time with my husband, and he ended up leaving me after 10 years of being together. I had a son who was almost 2 at the time, and it was absolutely devastating to me because I didn't see it coming. It was such a shock, and I was devastated. So I stopped working because I couldn't focus, but each day you still have to put on a face for your child. My world had crumbled, and it was heartbreaking. So a few months passed, and I got to a point where I thought, I can't keep feeling like this. I need to do something in order to support myself, in order to support my son. And at the time, Noreen was like a huge rock for me. She was always there, really super supportive, because you kind of...
There's a greater understanding there, which is what you need. Yeah, exactly what you need.
And we'd been talking anyway around about the time, and for a little while, about potentially setting up or talking about our fantasies of having maybe a dating agency or hosting things. Do you remember the film The Mask? And I tell this to a lot of people, with Jim Carrey. So I watched that as a child, and there's a jazz club, a speakeasy that they have in there. And ever since a kid, and this is just a really crazy fantasy of mine, I always envisioned myself walking around sort of hosting, being a hostess with the mostess, hosting people there. Because again, going back to me being such a people person and hosting. And I'd always say this to Noreen, and I said, wouldn't that be fantastic? And we just started bouncing ideas, and I know Noreen had a very similar thing. And we decided to set up our own business together called Diamond Singles, which is social events for single people. Now, we started the business 2 years in February, it will be. So that's 2023. I needed to pick myself up. My husband had just left me. It was just extremely devastating. And I just thought to myself, and I said to Noreen, there's no right time. You just need to do it. Otherwise, you'll always regret not trying.
Absolutely.
So we set up the business, and 4 days before the business launched, our opening sort of welcome party, here we are, my house flooded. So on the 9th of February, our boiler in our loft had a massive explosion and leaked, and all the water was coming through my ceilings, coming through the light fixtures, first floor to ground floor, which resulted in me having to move out of the house with a 2-year-old for 4 months, probably just over 4 months, whilst they had to relay floors, new ceilings put up. It was just, honestly, I could have cried. I think I did cry several times. But when that day, the 9th, happened, I thought, our launch party is in 4 days. And I just had to, again, you just suck it up and think, I can't let this defeat me. I've just got to keep going. And we did. The
so you managed to do it on that day?
Yeah, on the 14th. We still went ahead with it. It was a huge success.
I'm pretty sure nobody didn't know by your face and you that something is going on behind the...
I just had to laugh about it because it was either a choice of you laugh or you cry. So the business launched, and then from then on, we still, it's all new to us. We've never really done anything like this. We're recruiters, but there are very, very much similarities with the singles business that we're running and we're into recruitment business. It's matchmaking. We don't pressure people to try and find love. We don't try and force it upon them. We're giving single people's opportunity to socialise, to build their self-confidence, because once you have self-confidence, you are able to talk to other people. The point of putting on these social events is to give people an alternative to the online dating scene, which is obviously taken over the world now when it comes
communication is such an important part of it. I mean, in both respects, when you're bringing people together, whether it's through recruitment and a business and an individual, whether you're bringing two people together, and often there's a lack at that point. There's a lack of confidence, isn't there? So if you're, some people are single and they can meet people and it doesn't matter.
I'm single. I've been single for years. Oh my gosh!
You're full of, and you're a confident lady. But some people can do it really easily, and others find it incredibly hard. And also, in business, you can, if you're searching for the right candidate, you pass somebody, and it's the same when you're looking for a partner. I'd imagine if when someone's single and they're looking through, they go, particularly obviously at least online, it's like flicking through pictures, and that's not the reality, because the reality is the person inside.
This is what I like how you call it, because I initially said dating agency.
Yeah.
You told me that it's not dating agency, it's a social event,
social network,
which I absolutely love that, because for me sounds a bit like the other business networking.
It does, yeah.
But it's just go and obviously talk a bit more about yourself.
And I found being thrust into single life all of a sudden, completely unexpected, I still found it fairly easy to talk to people. I think it's just my nature. I can just chat to any old poor sod and give me 2 minutes to have a conversation, and I can do that. That's just in my nature. But when I was talking to and going out with some of my single friends, I very much noticed that they couldn't do that. They really struggled, and I would say, why don't you just go up to that person? Why don't you talk to them? And I noticed that a lot of them just didn't have that ability, and that they were just too shy, too scared. And I'm very much, what have you got to lose? The worst they can do is say no. But so it was down to the confidence thing. And then I was hearing a lot of, because when you become single after being in such a long relationship, all of a sudden, you suddenly do find yourself talking to a lot of single people and hearing their stories. Yeah. And a lot of people were saying that they were sick of the online dating scene. They just wanted something different. But where do you meet people?
Something real.
Where do you go and meet people? And it's very daunting for some people to go to a bar, and even if they do start talking to somebody, asking the question, are you single? It can be a bit awkward.
And today it's even more complicated. Relationships.
You have to be very careful what you say, where to say, how to say.
Not looking for it. Honestly, could talk about it all day. So Noreen and I thought, well, why don't we put on events where every single person in that room is single? So it firstly eliminates that awkward conversation of, hey, are you single? Are you married? Are you available? Whatever. And it will give people so many opportunities to talk and, dare I say it, practice talking to people and practice flirting. And it does build people's confidence. And over the years of the business, we've noticed that. And that was really important to me, having, as I said, come out of a very long relationship to suddenly being thrust into single life. But I found it quite easy to, as I said, chat to people, but a lot of my friends didn't, and I didn't realise how difficult they were finding things. So we set up Diamond Singles, and then off the back of the launch party, we were doing some promoting of the business, and Noreen managed to get us onto a radio show, the Kent Business Bunker Show, to promote Diamond Singles. And off the back of that, we were offered then a radio show.
That's really cool.
So
and that's how we met. Obviously not on the single show, but we met through the Business Bunker Radio.
So every Tuesday from 6 till 7, we have our live radio show where we talk about everything from single life, dating life to relationships. And we're starting to get a serious following off of that. And there is definitely a need for single people to have events that they can go to and talk to people and meet people.
And there is one thing that you mentioned as well, not now, the conversation a few days ago. You create safe environment for people.
Absolutely.
Which obviously I don't go on these things, so I've never been on this online source. But they are. I heard what people were saying, but the word safe really click on me, and that's why I did already recommend you to few ladies, which I was surprised that they are really amazing, very well established, let's say some business, they've got their own business, or they're really good in their career. So one or another reason they were single, they were over 40s. And I heard their conversations, how they were saying that it's they can't find. There is no right people. There is no good people anymore left, and etc. And that was a conversation I overheard a few weeks ago. And when I spoke with you a few days ago, this is what straight away I did send the link, and I said, go and check this place, because for me that looks the most natural way. And what you say, I believe people as well, they become friends. You don't need always to become partners, but they can find mutual people with mutual interests and hobbies. And friendship is even fantastic. If
That's the real foundation anyway in any relationship, to be friends.
Connection.
Because to be honest, and I think so many young people, when they meet each other, they go up to each other in a nightclub or whatever. Yeah, and there's that initial magnetism through physical appearance generally. And they sort of go home, and then they either become friends or they don't become friends. And but like it's very thin, and the relationship either develops, and for whatever reason they get married, and then they discover later on that they don't get on, or they fall apart. But relationships, if they're foundation in friendship, I think that's the biggest opportunity.
Really strong friendships, and we really encourage that. Because it can be difficult sometimes being a single person, especially at a certain age when lots of your friends are in relationships. So we're trying to build that singles community, and encourage that friendship. So it's really important.
So you mentioned about the whole feeling safe. That is something that is important to us. So every event that we host, there's a lot of work that goes into the hosting behind it. So myself, and we have Mark, who's our psychotherapist, not our psychotherapist, but he's a trained psychotherapist. So he's also on the radio show with us. We spend the entire evening ourselves talking to each of the individuals that are there, ensuring that nobody's standing there on their own, checking in on them, because we have a lot of people that come on their own. They're nervous, they're a bit scared. So we want to make them feel comfortable. We want to help them feel relaxed, and we do little mini introductions for them, and we just check on each person all throughout the night. It's very exhausting.
I'm pretty sure, because it's not one or two people probably.
And we have such great positive feedback that people leave at the very least as friends. And if people are connecting, they'll be speaking to somebody face to face who perhaps on an app they may not
look the same.
It doesn't aesthetically look like their quote usual type, and they would just swipe away. But when you meet somebody in person and have a conversation with them, you then start to learn about them. You can read their body language, and you start becoming attracted to qualities about that person that you perhaps wouldn't see on a profile. So that's why we thought,
I think it is. I think it is, but actually nowadays, and touching the point about COVID, which is really weird, that I still got in my mind how we were managing through that, and I was thinking, is that going to ever end? And I'm really happy that we're talking now, like in the past. Or do you remember? Or have you?
COVID had such an impact, I believe, on people's communication. It made people become quite introverted. People became quite used to working alone at home, and I always say this, I think people lost the art of basic communication.
I would say they did.
And we see it on both sides, both businesses. Even in recruitment, we talk to people, and we really sometimes have to really try and get
draw
them
people out,
to draw the conversation out of them, because some people, bless them, for one reason or another, they're not particularly great communicators, and that's part of what we do. Part of the service that Diamond Search Recruitment does is we video call each of our candidates. You know, we talk to them about the role, etc. We really prepare them, and it helps them start with the communication process ready for their interviews and going into their next career. And there are so many things that translate with what we're doing with Diamond Singles, where we talk to these people and we're giving them opportunity to practice talking face to face, because in any relationship, communication is key. And at some point, even if you meet somebody online, at some point you're going to have to physically meet them face to face and have a conversation with them.
But it is today with my son. I've got 12 years old son who is not using like phone a lot, but it's driving me insane that he doesn't know what mean to give a call to someone to arrange something. And sometimes may take an hour until they arrange with a friend who is living on the next street, how they're going to meet to go, I don't know, for their game or something. And I was like, just call this number. I don't know, it's fine, it will be okay. But just call. I think they just forget that button. They just don't know that you can just press. I know texting is fine. Sometimes it might be easier. If someone, I understand on our age, if you're on a meeting or whatever, someone can leave you a message. Okay, it's part of the communication. But get the phone, the green button, and just call. You will understand in 2 minutes rather than 25.
In dating, unfortunately, with the rise of the dating apps, you know, people are used to that type of communication where you swipe left, you swipe right, you match with someone, and then you're communicating via, you know, a text message. And I think for a lot of people, it's they feel more confident using that because they don't have to push themselves and be out there. So a lot of people hide behind a screen, and it can be, you know.
And when they need to talk, it's becoming the biggest fear and stress.
Absolutely. And the danger is as well, whilst obviously, yes, some good relationships have been formed on dating apps, there are also a lot of dangers. You know, you don't necessarily know who you're speaking to. You do have to ensure that you are safe. Again, what we do at Diamond Singles, getting people in that face-to-face real-life situation is so much better. As Julie says, you know, you can meet someone who you wouldn't necessarily swipe right on an app, and that could be your dream person. And it's just so rewarding, isn't it? You know, seeing people connect and get together. I mean, we're still hoping, you know, that we're in a position to buy hats and go to a Diamond Singles wedding.
I'm pretty sure it will happen. We're just in the beginning now, I would say, in terms of this kind of relations. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this will happen. And then it's going to be a proper celebration.
Big plans for it. We always laugh about this. Diamond Search Recruitment, the recruitment side of things, is very much our main sort of Monday to Friday day job. And we refer to Diamond Singles as our side hustle.
Yeah.
But it's like an evening. That must be evening events, is it?
It is. We'd love to get it to a point where we can focus and put more time into that as the business grows.
Is it usually at the moment the recruitment business is taking more of your time?
Absolutely.
Naturally, because Diamond Singles is a relatively new business.
Yes.
I mean, we only started it 2 years ago, and it is growing. You know, off the back of that, we then had the live radio show, which we absolutely love doing, and we have so many people tune in, engaging with us because we have our Facebook group set up, our Facebook page and the group. People listen in and they interact within the group, saying, "Oh, give us a shout out," or whatever it is. So it's really growing, and we are really creating that community. And setting up the business at the time helped me personally. It gave me a driver. It gave me you know, I've got to get up. I've got to do this. I've got to do that, because ultimately everything I'm doing is for my son. And also it also reminded me of who I was. I've always been a very independent individual, and I too, like Noreen, very career focused, very career driven, and I like to set an example for my son. You know, that, you know, working is a good thing. You know, you do need to do that, and it helped me personally to have something to focus on. Yeah, and since then, I have to say that my husband and I have rekindled.
Here it is. But tell me, what you said, you always been independent. You had that mindset. How you build that? Have you always had that? Did anyone influence you about that? Have you seen someone else around you that?
I like I said at the beginning, Noreen is by far the biggest mentor I've ever had. You're like my big sister, really.
And she does say mother.
I chose my words correctly.
But that's fantastic, because this obviously happened, and Noreen never done something in particular to come and tell you do this or do that about life. You just like her example, and you just
I just
follow
admire
it.
everything that Noreen's been through. I do know the ins and outs of everything that she's gone through over the last sort of 10 years or so. Go back over 12 years now, 12 years of friendship. As I said, Noreen came to my wedding, and even though we both left Reed and went our separate
you
ways
still
for a
stay
while.
connected.
Yeah. And, I wouldn't go into business with anybody. Noreen is a fantastic businesswoman. She's passionate about what she does, and she's just a fantastic friend.
Thank you.
You were there for me at the hardest time of my life, and I'll never ever forget that.
And I must say, Julie's mutual appreciation. Julie's fantastic at what she does. I couldn't think of a better business partner. I think what we've got is incredible. And with Diamond Singles, yes, there's still so much that we want to do, but it's balancing both businesses and balancing family as well.
Which is important, especially you
Absolutely.
having a young boy now at the moment.
Yeah, so he's 4 now and I'm 14. But so it is finding that balance, and working at Diamond Sex Recruitment does allow me, bless Noreen, to have a little bit of flexibility to take the son to nursery in the morning, do the school run, and then of course we've got the Diamond single stuff that we have to do. So we are busy individuals, but we're both career-minded.
And also, I know your show is always all about inspiring people in terms of business. And we both have come from quite humble beginnings as well, in terms of childhood and growing up and everything. I grew up in a single parent family in London. My mother never worked, we didn't have any money, went through some difficult circumstances when we were young, so very, very humble beginnings, and Julie.
But what I like about you too is clearly we're showing to the people that, again, everything is possible.
Absolutely.
And although sometimes
even with the hardest setups.
it was absolutely hard as hell. You found the strength to say, I'm going to do it. You could be more than proud to look where you were 10 years ago and where you are now with these successful businesses. You're the same. That story with, obviously, you've been on your own with your child. What's happened with the house? Trust me, I'm pretty sure that 50% of people will be like, I can't do it anymore. This is it. I can't. This is life. This is showing me I'm not on the right. Lots of people will go in the trap, and this is the reason of this show is to show the real faces, the real life, and that people overcome that. And there are moments that yes, you will be down, there will be difficulties, but
everyone has
it will happen.
Everybody has it in them to rise from the ashes. The people that you surround yourself with,
vital, absolutely vital. If you don't have the right people around you, you'll never see.
I was just very fortunate when I was going through the separation and whatnot. I had Noreen there, and when my house had flooded and all the rest of it, and I had divorce thrown in my face all at that same time. It was the lowest of the low point for me. I had somebody that was a rock and someone who'd understood and kind of sort of been in it, in tough times as well. But I do think everyone deep down has it in them to rise above it. Like Noreen mentioned, we both come from humble beginnings. There was a point in my childhood where my mum, sadly, for one reason or another, had to leave, and it was just me, my dad and my brother, and I had to very quickly, from a very young age, become the mum figure and step up. I was having to do the washing, I was having to do the cooking, and I had to really grow up fast. And so I've always had it in me that it's, I've got to survive. I'm the one. I've got to do everything for me, for myself, and for everyone else. And that, I think, is a big motivator for me.
It makes a huge difference, and that gives you resilience.
You both take whatever the time bring you in the past, you take the positive, let's say, kind of, and you implement like in your strengthen, and you wanted to, how to say it, that help you to build the person you are today and to come up with all the ideas that you've got to achieve now, implemented in your businesses. And something I really love you said a few days ago, it was between the recruitment and the other business, you've got this that you really need to match and to make sure that both sides are happy with what they get. It's not, again, just an event or networking event where people just going to meet and it's the importance of how you match them.
But it dovetails together as well. I'm sure you can't do this, but like you must almost sort of like you go through the interview thing. Oh, yeah, well, I'm single. Okay, would you like to join today? So you could bring in the other one into a soft, gentle introduction to would you like to meet a pal?
No, this sounds cool. What are the, let's say we're coming into Christmas, into New Year. What are the plans for the near future for both businesses?
For the businesses, it's
Diamond
just
Singles, we've got our Christmas event
next week.
next Friday, the 13th.
Very. I'm calling it Lucky Day, honestly. People always look it on negative. I'm always thinking that something amazing will happen for me on that day.
So yeah, we've got our Christmas party next Friday, which is really exciting, and tickets are flying for that, which is fabulous. And then I think for the new year, we're getting lined up. We're offering salsa lessons, so more activities for people to do. Salsa lessons, quiz nights, board game nights.
Nice.
We'll be reintroducing a couple of speed dating sessions because people have asked for that. So we will offer that, obviously, and still do our drinks mixes, which I think is still the better format.
This is the format that is more the networking.
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
It's
very relaxed.
Is that sit down or stand up?
Stand up,
Yeah.
for the music background.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just chat. Go back to the normal.
Exactly
Go and chat.
Absolutely.
But as people start to get build their confidence, they want to try new things, and because it's the single community that we are trying to build, we now want to offer them activities to do with other singles. You know, your salsa dancing with a group of people, and you might start to naturally make a connection with somebody. Or,
do you use different venues? Do you go to different venues each time, like hotels and places like that, or how do you do it?
Usually bars.
Okay.
So we have a venue that we use repeatedly in Ashford, the Low Key Tap Room. We have a venue in Rochester, Maverick Ladies Lounge. And so we're trying to host events in different...
Yeah, which are the towns usually that you go?
To get there.
Ashford, Rochester?
So at the moment, Ashford, Rochester, we have Canterbury, soon to be Folkestone. We want to look at Sittingbourne.
So for the business, we want to map out the whole of Kent. So for Diamond Singles, once we feel that we've captured the whole of the Kent area, which will include areas like, Tunbridge Wells, for example, Dartford, so we're very aware we need to expand our offering for the whole of the geography. Here for Diamond Singles, we are looking at that success on mapping out Kent, covering as much of the areas we can, hosting, so making that, really successful and having lots of good positive feedback. So that's good. And with Diamond Search, as I said, the plan is really next year, really looking at progressing that business further, and looking at the financials.
Are you focusing on specific businesses
We
around?
recruit within, so Julie's our marketing queen, so Julie's our head of marketing recruitment. So we have sales and marketing recruitment, professional services, which encompasses areas like legal, accountancy, etc., engineering and technical, construction, and business support. Business support is any type of role that you'd find in an office function. So, customer service, admin, secretarial. So, and I mean, the business, we've got a great foundation. We do an incredible job. So now it's about just pushing that further for the next year.
In recruitment, can I ask, what areas is it hardest to recruit for? I mean, I sort of work primarily on engineering and manufacturing.
Yeah.
And I know, for me, when I look, the biggest drought is young engineers, and particularly being able to recruit engineers into manufacturing. What do you find?
Yeah, we do recruit in that area. And my colleague Pip, she recruits a lot within engineering and manufacturing. And I think it very much depends at the time. I mean, there are certain areas where, it's hard to attract people. But ultimately, because we have all the skills and the tools available and the experience, we know lots of different methods in terms of going out there to market finding people, headhunting people. So it's not just a matter of, for example, advertising the role and waiting for people to apply. It's about looking at networks and exploring and headhunting. So there's so many different approaches that we have, but we'll always be honest with our clients. So for example, if there's a role that potentially is quite hard to fill, we'll look at, okay, so what is the feedback as to why? Is the salary, not in line with what people are looking for? Is there a particular element of skill that is difficult to find in that marketplace at this time? So we'll always be very consultative, we'll give really good constructive feedback, and we'll work with the client, to see, are there areas that they can be a little bit flexible on to find that ideal candidate, so...
Talking about that, can we just go back to the LinkedIn and the importance of the LinkedIn profile? Because we had that on the chat before we start, and I think it's going to be good for our listeners to hear about that. You as a recruiter, what you look on the people's LinkedIn
Well,
profile?
LinkedIn, as you said before, it is kind of like people uploading their professional CV, but it's a platform for professionals to tell you what they are doing and what their history of work is. So it is like an online CV. For us as recruiters, it's really helpful to search for people on there. It is essentially a search tool for us, so we can connect with people as well as new potential business partners, connect with individuals and start to have conversations with them. People don't necessarily always upload their CVs. They don't necessarily know that there's a role out there that's perfect for them. They don't necessarily know about a particular position that, as I said, that would be suitable. We can go out there, find their details. I could find Richard, for example, find your details. I can read a little bit about you and say, oh, he might be suitable for this position. I'm just going to have a conversation and find out a little bit more. It just gives us a quick overview and insight into what you can do.
So would you advise
and then we would connect
people to keep their LinkedIn kind of
up
to date?
Absolutely.
Because I can see some profiles, they've got all the jobs they've been done and with lots of explanation what they did, what they don't. Some others, they got just the role that they had. What do you think it's advisable?
I was going to say, I think it's important that you have recommendations on your LinkedIn. That would be my number one tip. So on your LinkedIn, there's a section where you can ask people for a recommendation of your skill, your expertise, your experience. And there's nothing more powerful, because these are people that are, giving testament to the fact that you are good at what you do. So make sure that you do have up-to-date recommendations on your profile. Make sure, as Julie said, that your profile is up to date. And if you are on the market looking for a position, put that in your profile. There's an open to work button that you can add onto your LinkedIn as well. And join groups that are relevant to your skill, your industry, your sector. Posting online as much as you can. So if you are on the market for a new position, every post doesn't have to be, hey, I need a job, but start getting involved in conversations. There may be a piece of industry news relevant to your sector or your skill. Post that news with your comments with other, community members, and it's encouraging that communication and conversation with other people. And it's really important to be proactive on the platform.
It's a really, really powerful platform.
Absolutely.
Now. I think nearly all recruiters use it to, in one way or another, to find.
Some don't use it in a great way. Some
do,
better.
some don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, because I'm telling you from a person that even don't have open to work on my. And sometimes it's not. I'm getting like, oh, we've got a brilliant job for you. Yeah, but can you first ask me what I'm doing? Because sometimes even the offer is for totally different things that is nothing to do with me. And obviously, I ignore them. But the problem is that sometimes we may ignore something good. So again,
and that's the
personal approach.
The difference between an experienced recruiter and non-experienced, or even, dare I say, an order taker agency and a consultative agency. So in recruitment, there are agencies out there that we would class as order takers. They get a job, they fill it, they move on. Whereas we are that trusted advisor. We're consultative, so we're there for the long-term business relationship. So it's much more than a transactional arrangement. It's more about developing that long-term business relationship. And with our customers, we don't want to be just an order filler. We want to be an extension of their business. We want to understand what they do, understand not just the vacancy they're recruiting for, but the company culture,
Exactly.
the team fit, what are the long-term plans for the business? How can we support them and grow with them? Every company, you're only as good as the talent that you have working within your business. So people really matter.
They do.
And it's so important that, companies do recognise that, and we're there to recruit the best.
And it goes back to basics, back to just basic communication and the art of talking to somebody. And that's why I believe LinkedIn, for me personally, is a fantastic tool, because you can connect with potential candidates, potential future business partners, and open up the beginnings of a conversation. And that's the only way you're going to know if you are actually the right fit. You can read somebody's job title and what they do listed on their LinkedIn profile, but unless I speak to you and can really understand who you are as a person, if you're the right fit for a particular organisation, if you can do the skills, that there are ways that a good recruiter can find out if you really know what you're doing. Goes back to the very basics of having a conversation with somebody and understanding their needs as well as your clients. And that's why at Diamond Search Recruitment, we are very passionate when we even talk to the candidates, because in the future, potentially you could become a client of ours anyway. But it's so important for our business reputation as well. Each individual consultant, me included, my business reputation is very, very important.
I've got 2 questions quickly. I know we're going a bit long, but I just want to know, one of the questions was where we were talking about companies. Does ever happen you go to a company and something you didn't like about them, about the company culture, about anything? Really sure if I want to work with these people?
We have turned down business before for one reason or another. Examples where, a company may have very high turnover, but they refuse to address the issue. So there would be no point us working with them and placing talent only to know that person potentially wouldn't stay with them.
Okay.
But ultimately, when we engage with a client, part of our job is, as I say, not just taking the vacancy, but exploring, okay, so why is there a vacancy? Are you expanding? Has someone left? Okay, if they left, why did they leave?
Okay,
Is there anything we need to be aware of? And it could just be a natural progression for that person leaving and moving, into a different role elsewhere. But there could be an underlying issue.
So you do like to know as well.
And then if there is any sort of, concern, it could be potentially to do with onboarding. The person left at the beginning, they didn't have enough training. It could be a culture issue, etc. So we're there to support and understand, okay, so what did happen? How can we help you, ensure this doesn't happen again? So we are there to really support our customers and ensure that they have the best experience and can recruit the best talent.
And talking about experiences, how much you agree with this? Because with few leaders we spoke in the past, they said that for them it's important to have the right fit for the company. You may not have the right experience. You may come from totally different industry. But if you're open to learn skills, and because they're all saying that skills can be learned, who you are is a bit more
it's that ability to learn as well, and adaptation.
So
People, if they're adaptable.
Looking as well for that probably someone would not match 100% the job offer. Is that as well part of the recruiter that can find, okay, but she's good on this and that, so I'm pretty sure she will be good fit for this business.
Yeah, company fit is really quite crucial. We work with businesses who have a very fast-paced environment, and then businesses that are polar opposite, that are very much smaller, take things a little bit slower. And if you, as an individual, are quite a fast-moving person, you'd probably naturally find it quite difficult to slow things down, and you'd start to get frustrated because things aren't moving as quick as you expected. So yes, company fit is so crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. It's finding people that are aligned with, your business goals,
the values of the business.
The company values, the company culture, and it's incredibly important, because if you get that right, that will equate to that longevity and hire, and that placement will be a success.
No, that's great.
Perfect. I think I can, as always, carry on. But thank you very much for coming and giving us so much insights about recruitment.
It's been really fun.
But dating and two very important topics, I would say. And wish you all the best with the businesses. and definitely we'll
Thank
see
you.
you again
So-
around.
So Julie and Noreen, where can everyone find you? I guess obviously on LinkedIn. I'm sure, absolutely. And obviously, what we'll do, we'll share the links to the websites so they can find you. And if there's anywhere else, we'll share it with everybody.
Amazing. We
Yeah.
have the radio show, as Julie says, which is on Syncoports Radio every Tuesday, 6 till 7, but you can catch that on Kent Business Radio and Syncoports Radio.
Yeah.
Um,
And obviously diamondsingles.co.uk.
and,
Perfect.
Plug that in there.
and diamond-search.co.uk for diamond search.
So we'll share all those links underneath the video. We hope you've enjoyed today. Please do, if you are watching on YouTube, please do give us a like, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Spotify or listening on Spotify, please do follow us. But obviously the most important thing is if you're looking for work and you're living in the Kent area on the south, please do contact these ladies. If you're single and you're looking to find the perfect place to meet people, again, contact the ladies, and hopefully you'll enjoy. We hope you've enjoyed
Because this is our last episode before
this year.
end of the year. Yeah, we want to say a big thank you to everyone who
Supported
been with us, our guests, support us on our journey. A special thanks again to Hampstead House for being our host. What's on in Kent as well, a really good support,
Big support for us as well, and for the hotel, and for many other businesses around Kent in the hospitality industry.
Kent Invicta Chambers
As
was
well. Yeah.
a really
Big
good
support for us.
support for us. And yeah, all of you, thank you very much. We wish you really nice holiday season, and we'll see you back in January.
Thank you very much. Take care. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Thank you.
you.